I'm Sean Fennessey.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
And this is the Big Picture, a conversation show about anything that you wanted to know. We're opening up the mailbag today. Later in this episode, we have a double hit discussion of one of the year's most acclaimed movies, Jane Schoenbrun's coming-of-age drama that is drenched in big themes about identity, cultural obsession, and isolation. I'm talking about I Saw the TV Glow. First, Adam Naiman will join me to talk about the movie. Then Jane and I talked about making it, how movies and TV help us understand ourselves, and a lot more. I hope you'll stick around for that conversation. It was a really good one. Okay, mailbag time.
What did you write on the little clapboard? What is that like the?
Yeah, I wrote, ask us anything, mailbag,
yes,
parentheses, except about Thanos.
Okay,
so
good.
No questions about Thanos.
That's true.
In this mailbag.
Did you get rid of your little Thanos guy?
No, he's there. He's there, my friend.
I have a concept for what I want on my side of the desk. If you're listening to this on audio, number one, thank you for sticking with us in our purest form. And number two, we got to decorate our desks.
And also, please subscribe to
But,
ringermovies.com.
you know, I don't want you to feel excluded.
No,
subscribe, but you're also included.
YouTube.com/ at Ringer Movies. Thank you. Good
job. But so I have a concept, but I need, do you know how to print photos?
Do I know how to print photos?
Yeah.
Yes.
But like high quality, frameable.
Well, I don't have a high quality frameable
printer. So there we go. Do you know where to find that? That's my mailbag question to you.
Kinko's? I don't know what you.
Do you know where a Kinko's is near our house?
I do. Yeah. Well, I think they're all FedEx now.
Oh yeah,
because FedEx acquired Kinko's.
Sure. Now I do know about a nice one.
No free ads here, though. I have used the FedEx Kinko's in my day, and there's one in Pasadena, as I recall.
That's the one I know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like on a warehouse, like on an alley. But
why are we talking about this? What's happening?
Because I gotta embellish my side of the desk. But I'll do it in my own time.
Okay. This is riveting content for those who are not watching video. Though I hope you are watching video, because so much effort is going into my makeup every morning. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every day. I'm getting in the chair.
You still exfoliating every day with your St. Ives?
Yeah, it's like me on the set with Rick Baker in 1999. They're just making me look like an ape, and I feel great about it. No, we're doing a mailbag. Did you want to talk about the announcement of the new Lord of the Rings film? Speaking of effects, that was a new Lord of the Rings film was announced, produced by Peter Jackson. I think the subtitle.
I would prefer to keep talking about FedEx Kinko's, honestly.
Did you see what the subhead of the movie is?
No.
It's Lord of the Rings, and this is true, The Hunt for Gollum. That's just good stuff.
So is that post-trilogy? Pre-trilogy?
It's post, because it's everything Gollum did on January 6th. So there's...
All I saw is that Joanna Robinson was like, I don't know if this is a good idea.
I think she said it was kind of off menu, like it was outside of the book content.
And that's...
Which I don't know. Knowing what I know about Tolkien, we can stray every once in a while.
Okay.
Not such a big deal.
But is it what Gollum gets up to after he holds the ring?
Yeah, stuff he said on Rogan, like all that stuff. Okay. It's interesting. It should be much more modern adaptation of the Lord of the Rings.
Now I'm just asking you questions.
No, I'm excited about it because I like the Lord of the Rings films. Producing but not directing.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Last time that happened, he actually did direct. He said, step aside, Guillermo del Toro. I will be directing the Hobbit films. And that's what he did. Okay. So maybe that could happen here. Maybe not. I like Lord of the Rings. Animated Lord of the Rings movie coming out this winter. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I think it's The War for Rohirrim.
Who's that?
One of those kings. I honestly don't know.
The only Lord of the Rings content that I like is that meme of, it's a photo of Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott and two others. I think maybe Pedro Pascal, though I don't want to malign anyone who's not actually in the photo. And it's just like the hobbits after the Shire got a Zara. And then they're like all, because they're all in
they're
their
short
Zarthas.
Boys?
Well, the angle isn't like doing them a lot of favors.
Okay.
And
Is Paul Mescal short?
I think so. Huh. Relatively speaking, that's okay. Yeah. But he's powerful, so it works out.
That's always a great moment when an actor comes into the studio for an interview, and I'm like, I'm 7 inches taller than you, sir. This is very exciting for me.
It was a funny meme. I like that meme.
Okay. That's the only Lord of the Rings content you don't like anything about the Lord of the Rings? This is literally one of the best franchises.
No. It just hasn't really stayed with me.
Okay.
It's not like what I carry around day to day. Like I'm daydreaming and then I'm just like thinking about, elves.
Okay. This sounds like me and CR will be continuing our tradition of the day after Christmas going to see a movie with hobbits in it while holding hands and crying together.
Yeah, and hobbits in general,
Not your thing.
They feast, they sing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
again, I'm waiting for something bad. Now, I'm looking forward to that movie. It does seem a bit craven to be trying to do this yet again after they made a wonderful trilogy, but whatever. I get it. I understand why these things happen.
Okay.
Anything else in the world of movies you want to get off your chest before we have Bob open the mailbag?
Let's speak to the people.
Okay.
That's what I came in here to do. Let's speak to Bobby. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Honestly, I think hobbits are kind of Dob Mob, if we're being honest. The feasting, the singing, the being outside.
Yeah. Hobmob.
That's true. They're pretty jolly. I don't know whether jolly is one of our core values.
I would say no.
So we try to enjoy things, but jolliness, I don't know. And it's a little too much singing outside. There are rules about who can sing and who cannot sing,
Right, because then you're going on Lumineers territory, and then we know what happens then.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Hobmob will be a thing, though. I will circle back to that when this film comes out.
Okay.
Bobby, what's our first question?
The first question comes from Scott. On the heels of the successful Tom Brady roast, are there any filmmakers or Hollywood icons that you would like to see step into the hot seat for a future Netflix roast?
So this is tricky because I think a lot of what we trade in with quote unquote Hollywood icons are beloved people who we just don't know a ton about. With athletes and with comedians or public figures, like Pamela Anderson or Justin Bieber or Donald Trump or people who've been in these situations before, they're kind of famous for all of the things that they have done or been entrenched in. Like a Brad Pitt roast, I'm not sure that's such a good idea.
Tom Cruise. I mean, no one, there would be so many legal complications that no one would go for it. But if you could do it, Tom Cruise is the answer.
Yeah, on the one hand, I would say well, that'll never happen. But I honestly can't believe the Tom Brady thing happened.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I have to assume he was paid a vast sum of money to do that.
I saw Jason Kelce was also speculating about that.
Why else would you do it?
That's how I keep up with the Eagles now, is that I get updates about what retired Eagles Jason Kelce has said on the podcast.
Okay.
But what are we thinking number-wise? 3 million?
No, way more.
10 million?
More, I think more.
25 million?
I don't know if it's that high, but significantly more than 3 million. Yes.
Okay, so you think
this is a person who's already worth $500 million.
You're thinking 8 figures.
I am.
Okay.
And you've also got to pay every single person on the dais, I think. Now, obviously, Nikki Glaser and Tom Segura are not making nearly as much money as someone like Kevin Hart. But I mean, think about Kevin Hart. That's an incredibly successful person. Maybe he's got an overall with Netflix.
I was going to say, isn't it just kind of in-house talent?
But that's a hard job. That was a 3-hour show that he basically emceed. He's got to write material. He's got to keep the show on its feet. And he did a good job. So I don't know. I think that's a really, really expensive show. That being said, man, I bet it's super successful. I saw it was number 1 on Netflix last night. If you could get a Tom Cruise to do something like that, insane gangbusters. I was trying to think of somebody a little bit more removed from the day-to-day of movies.
I mean, Tom Cruise, in his own way, is extremely removed.
Well, he's still just active.
But he's just parachuting.
Literally.
In London or in the greater UK area.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing.
What about Al Pacino?
I mean, sure.
Should we put CR on the dais?
The thing about Al Pacino is that you do want peers to roast someone. And it's just suddenly you're just at a convention of people of a certain age.
Oh, it's a fair point.
Which would be interesting because they've got the good stories and obviously they don't care anymore.
But Nikki Glaser cooking Al Pacino is that sounds great.
I mean, I guess.
Okay. I don't know. It's a tough one because Hollywood icons no longer expose themselves to these kinds of activities. When in the Dean Martin days, this was more common.
Yeah.
Because it felt like everything was very literally fraternal. And the kind of clubbiness that we had an access to was an exciting part of it. Hollywood doesn't really operate this way anymore. Right. And when it does, they try to if the Pussy Posse comes up, that's hey, don't talk about that.
Oh, Leo would be good.
Leo would be very good.
That would be funny.
Leo would be very good. Will never happen.
No,
literally will never happen. Yeah. Good question though. What's next, Bob?
Next question comes from Rachel. How does AMC A-List or other similar movie subscriptions factor into a film's box office total?
Let's just be clear that you inserted box office total into what was just like $2 signs.
Right. I have to assume that it's box office total
I do
that
as
Rachel
well,
is
but,
talking about. I've spent $125 this year, but I've seen 40 movies. How do I factor into a movie's profit? And then adds the caveat that they've seen most things on opening weekend.
The AMC and the studios are not terribly transparent about this. This is a very interesting question. I am a Stubbs member, and so sometimes I do go see movies, and I'm paying, I think, what ultimately amounts to like $4 total relative to the number of movies I could go see in a given month, maybe even less. It's like $25 a month. I can see 3 movies a week. I can see them in premium formats. Like,
so you can. It does cover IMAX.
Yeah, like I'm going to see Apes again tonight, the new Kingdom of the Apes movie, in IMAX with Stubbs. And you'd think, so if it's $25 a month, if I see in a 4-week month, 3 movies a week, 12 movies, so I'm paying $2 a movie basically. $2.10 a movie.
But that's not how they're
not the
counting
math,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So AMC is negotiating with the studio to license the movie to show it and then splitting profits from the ticket sales. But also when you have a subscription program, you basically need to pre-negotiate a determined fee. Let's just say the number I've seen speculated about online is $8.
Okay.
That $8 for every ticket goes to the studios on a pre-negotiated, but that's not represented in the box office total. I would imagine that the box office total is representing a full ticket price.
That's what I would assume as well, based on the research that I did this morning, but it's not there. It's not widely available information.
Right. So this actually raises...
And also, I assume it's changing all the time.
Completely. And every different subscription theater chains have different pricing, and some get more, some get less. AMC represents a bigger bulk of the business, so maybe they get a smaller number that they get to negotiate against the studios. The reason this is interesting to me is not just because I go to a lot of movies and we talk about box office on the show sometimes. It's just how pointless the discussion of box office is when you really consider all of the contingent factors. So one, it's always compared to budget. We will never know the budgets of these movies.
Right.
Whatever is reported to you is either a lie or inaccurate, because the studio is either trying to keep that number too low or high enough to be representative of the kinds of films that they're willing to make in certain spaces. It's not accounting necessarily for marketing P&A. It's also, when you're totaling the box office, they're never accounting for PVOD. And now there's so many movies that come out, they're in theaters for 17 days or 28 days, and then they're probably making anywhere from 1/20th to 1/5 of their money streaming at home. And we don't add that up to the total.
Right.
But that's effectively box office revenue, as evidenced by the conversation we had earlier this week on the show, where we're like, this is the way that people watch movies now. They spent $19.99 on a movie when it comes to their house in 3 weeks because they didn't want to take their 5 kids to the movie theater.
Or they just watch it on Amazon Prime and,
or they just stream it.
Order more stuff.
Right. Which is, I guess, in a way, an additional kind of box office. The same way that movie theaters are using concessions to make their money. I mean, movie theaters won't make their money on showing movies. They make their money on everything else in the movie theater that people are spending money on. So I don't know. It's an interesting question that got me thinking a little bit about the exercise that we were doing last week, because the industry needs so many different things to happen to make this a solvent business, and it's hard to do that.
And also, the different parts of the industry need different things, and that box office number and how Stubbs in particular contributes to AMC's accounting means a different thing for their business than it does for like Universal,
right? Totally.
Or something.
100%.
And it affects how those two entities interact with each other and how they set prices and what's available, or but
I think Universal's getting their full dollar regardless on something like that. But this AMC is not. And so if they're subsidizing ticket sales in that way, and then when you think about it, it's like, okay, so the movie made actually less money when you account for the fact that somebody only spent, quote unquote, $8 or whatever that pre-negotiated. Anyway, it's a fascinating little wrinkle in the way that this industry is very quietly and slowly collapsing from within.
You really like your membership, though. You use it.
It's just a great deal. I mean, it's if you like going to the movies, it is, if you have a good AMC near you, it's illogical to not have it, because you go to 2 movies a month and it's worth it, period. So I rep for it. I mean, AMC is a complicated company and they've done some pretty dumb shit over the years,
But you're just like always proudly in the Stubbs line, even if it's longer than the other line.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say that
which it often is here in Los Angeles.
The efficacy of the Stubbs line, they need some work. They could use your mind.
They should. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. I know you didn't mean that as a compliment, but I'm accepting it.
I did.
Okay.
Okay. What's next?
That was another question that I don't think made it into this mailbag list that I put together, but it was about why isn't box office basically just amount of tickets sold? And I think that relates interestingly to the conversation that you guys just had in response to this question. So why isn't it that? I don't remember who asked that. I apologize.
Because they don't want you to know the answer. It's the same reason that Netflix isn't telling you how many people actually complete, whatever series they're excited about. This is a way for them to... they don't want you to have information. Yep. It means there are less ways to make money off of you.
Right.
I should have a little tinfoil hat that I can put on.
I mean, you actually should ready at all times to just pull out from under the desk.
But that's not tinfoil. That's true.
But there's some meaningful data. I think only 3 of the 10 highest grossing movies of all time, adjusted for inflation, have been released in the last 30 years. It would look very bad for the preeminence of movies if you showed that tickets sold as a data point. But they should.
Right.
They do. I mean, that's what they did for years with albums sold in the music industry. It's what they do for television for how many people have watched a show. Movies are just putting top dollar in front. Mm-hmm. How many billions? What's your favorite $1 billion grosser?
Barbie?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember that? Everyone?
Titanic?
I do like Titanic
do you
also.
prefer Barbie to Titanic?
I mean, I haven't lived with it for as long. It hasn't been in my life, but I do think Barbie's pretty delightful. I don't know what everyone's problem is. I mean, I do, but I don't have time to go into it.
Okay.
And I'm not Hillary Clinton. So let's keep it moving.
Some people were asking for us to release the old tapes from before we were doing video of your Hillary rant. I don't think we can do that, but I would have loved to have been able to see that.
I've got them
the listeners
in storage. They're surrounded by dry ice.
The next question, Sean directly asked me to put this in the mailbag on his Twitter account. This comes from Mac. With the announcement of Survivor 50 being an all-returnee season, curious to see who Sean wants to see return.
I don't really care about returnees that much. I do like all-star seasons. I'm not choosy about who gets cast in the show. I think Jesse from a couple of years back was one of the best contestants they've had in a while, and his elimination was painful for me. But aside from him, I don't care that much. That being said, I do want to talk about Survivor very quickly. You and I have never really...
I'm Googling Jesse Survivor right now.
Jesse Lopez,
Jesse Lopez
has an incredible story.
Only 26,000 followers on Instagram. So let's try to bump that up.
He got okey-doked a little bit at the end of his season, but he played very well. And he reminded me of some of the best players. I think Survivor is in a real free fall right now.
Oh boy.
This has been my favorite TV show for 20 years, aside from Jeopardy. And I've been very loyal to it. I've watched every season since I graduated college. And I understand why they're struggling, because they've basically done every possible permutation of this reality competition TV show that they possibly can to keep it afloat. But man, they're changing the rules every episode. They're changing the expectations for the players. And they've done something that is happening on a lot of TV shows like this, that I think you will understand even though you don't watch shows like this. They used to thrive on casting villains and building narratives around characters that you love to hate or that the other contestants love to battle. And now we're in a much nicer era of our culture. We're in a safer, kinder era. And so they don't cast villains anymore. In fact, they have almost publicly said we don't cast villains anymore.
So now it's just about building community and healing and stuff. That sucks.
It's just people being
Are you
nice
saying
to
that
each
Survivor
other?
got ruined by woke? Is that what you're trying to
I
say?
didn't say that.
Survivor got ruined by therapy, which is different.
It's more that.
Therapy culture is ruining all art forms, high and low.
Because Survivor has always been a diverse show. It's sort of the point of the show. It's more that there is an energy that they're trying to communicate about how meaningful this experience can be to people's souls that I think is crap. It's actually the opposite. It's people physically battling each other for $1 million. It is the core tenet of capitalism. It is, and you have to accept that it is kind of evil as a premise. And the show wants to convince you that it's decent. I don't care that it's evil. I kind of like that it's evil. I kind of think that it shows people's real selves in these competitive environments. So for them to try to convince
an
me,
existential contradiction at the heart of the show, because they're like, no. But this is we're all, mending past traumas
Yes.
through competing for $1 million
There's so
by
much of
punching
that.
people.
There's so
That
much of that in the
sucks.
narrativizing of the
Truly,
show.
we should just ban the word trauma from all
I'm with you.
from TV and film.
There
You can find other ways to say it, and I hope that everyone will address and heal from their trauma. It's great for like day-to-day lives. It's bad for art and entertainment.
I think a dollop of it would be fine on a show like this, but for it to be the pervasive feeling of every episode is annoying. The other thing too is they're only casting people who are super fans now. And so they know the whole history of the show and they're constantly outthinking themselves. And so they know every permutation of every move. And then so they're trying to land on the least predictable move. And inherently it leads to a lot of bad gameplay. And I love watching the gameplay.
This is also like how the other thing that's ruined the world is fan culture. Because it's just like you have to be like the totally an extension #1 full expert, life devoted to it to be able to enjoy it in any way.
You nailed it. It is an extension of that for sure. So anyway, it's a show that I love. I really appreciate what an amazing job they've done with it over the years. It's in a bad spot. I'm actually actively frustrated every week. And it used to be my salve. It used to be the thing where it's like, I'm not at work. I'm not watching a movie for work. This is something my wife and I have done together for 2 decades. And it's now actively pissing me off. So thank you for letting me get it off my chest.
I agree. Bangs gavel.
Okay.
I wish I had a gavel.
Thank you, Amanda.
Can we get one?
Well, we're just so many more items that we're
props?
Adding to the list for you. Yeah, props. Next question comes from Emily. How do you guys think the Paramount sale or not sale will affect the franchises involved, such as Mission Impossible, Transformers, etc.?
We haven't talked to Paramount at all. Do you have any perspective on this?
My perspective is just like, make a decision, Like I understand that Hollywood is first and foremost a business and that this is a major business transaction that will change how the town works, that's like happening in front of us with interesting characters and a lot of people dramatically leaking to, so it's good business goss. I get it. But first of all, it's taking forever. Like truly, Shari, make a decision. And then, well, I guess the problem is like she's made one decision and her board has made another. It's always the board. That's my daily struggle. But I have gotten depressed reading about it because it is like such a reminder that nothing about like the quality of Mission Impossible or even, dare I say, Transformers, but I'm trying to be nice to you today. I don't know why. I actually do know why. It's because I need you to pay for my parking so I can get out of the lot.
Because I have a wallet and you do not.
I forgot my wallet, so I literally cannot leave this building unless Sean helps me. Anyway.
Such power.
Well, again, it all comes back to the money. And this has just been like a deeply just boring turned depressing reminder of like, oh, like no one actually cares about movies. This is all just money pieces on a money chessboard.
Yeah, if you are not a listener of the Town podcast, where they've been covering this very well, Matt Bellany knows this stuff inside and out. There are effectively 2 significant bidders for the Paramount studio and everything that comes with it. One of them is Skydance and David Ellison,
who and Chris Ryan,
like his boy David Ellison. They are the producers of the Mission Impossible franchise. They're the producers of a lot of the Terminator films. They take on a lot of big tentpole projects. They're kind of similar to like Legendary, which is, has Godzilla versus Kong and has Dune. And Legendary is also involved on the other side with a separate deal, which is an Apollo, which is a sort of like a massive money market, like hedge fund. And their partnership with Sony and Legendary. So you've got one big legacy studio effectively bidding against one kind of independent billionaire partner. Obviously, Larry Ellison is David Ellison's father. He's one of the richest men in the universe. He's obviously backstopping that offer. I think people who like movies are rooting for the Skydance proposal to win, not because I care about how much money Shari Redstone makes. I really don't care. I don't care about the board. I'm not interested in any of that stuff. That's not really I'm just like you. I'm like, what's it going to mean for the movies? If they get bought by Sony, it's just one less studio.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
Fewer jobs.
It's already bad.
Yeah, no, it's already
bad. Tons of
bad.
people are going to lose their jobs. Fewer movies, fewer quality movies. I don't know if David Ellison is the right person to manage a major movie studio or series of television channels.
At some point, it is just sort of like you need someone with unlimited resources.
Yeah.
Who's willing to
And to his
To
credit,
win some and lose some.
he likes movies. He wouldn't be in this business if he didn't like making these movies. And I love the Mission Impossible movies, so that's a check plus. No, Skydance hasn't always done great. They've made some stinkers in their day. But you're right. The money's going to talk in either direction. And what's it going to mean for Mission Impossible if it goes to Sony?
What will it mean for Transformers?
I don't know. We're in kind of a transitional moment.
Tell me.
We're in a transitional, formational moment.
Okay. Where did we last see the Transformers? What were they up to?
New York City in the 1990s.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was a kind of heist movie that then went to Cybertron, and there was like a big battle between all the robots, as there always is. Anthony Ramos was in it.
Is Cybertron a place or a robot?
Cybertron is their planet.
Oh, okay.
They're
confined to one planet?
Well, no, they come to Earth.
Okay.
And then they get involved in the moon landing and the Kennedy assassination. And
I do remember that one. Yeah,
the Transformers films are super, super good and normal.
Yeah.
The last one was a bit of a disappointment at the box office.
Was it a disappointment to you?
No, I enjoyed it.
You did a solo podcast about it.
It was bad, but I liked it.
That's great.
You know, you have those.
Of course I do. Yeah.
And the next Transformers film is animated. It's coming out in September. It's called Transformers 1.
Okay.
Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry are doing the voices. I don't think a live-action Transformers movie has been greenlit to come after that. So who knows? Maybe they're waiting for the sale. We'll see.
Okay.
Still a valuable property. I need Michael Bay to come home. I need him come home to his Transformers where he belongs. Focus on that for a little while. Then make Ambulance 2.
That sounds like a wonderful future for you. And it's all possible at David
I've written the
Script.
script.
Skydance Paramount.
Ambulance 2 : Chaser. And it's about a guy who drinks a lot of vodka while driving an ambulance. It's
okay.
Scary.
How about Ambulance 2 : Fire Truck? Or like what else comes when you call the ambulance? Just like we could this is a whole IP that we could flesh out here.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
Ambulance : Helicopter.
I like it. Sure. Ambulance :
you guys are
Drone.
Just like really like it's like Knox Barron is running a movie studio right now and you're just pitching right to him.
Ambulance : Cement Mixer.
Ambulance : Dump Truck.
I'm in.
That's good.
Sold.
I'm in on that. That's cool. Next question comes from Rembert. Should we get back to films that end with a dramatic freeze frame? Is that what's missing from this age of cinema?
Yes, and they should all be of Rembert's face.
Yeah.
Just zoomed right in. Can I just say, so this is from our Rembert.
Rembert Brown.
And it's really nice to know that at least one friend of mine reads one of these things once in a while, you know?
I think...
Thank you, Rembert. I love you. I hope you're well.
I love Rem. Where's Rem? I don't know. Rem, Rem worked on the forthcoming Clipped, the Clippers series on FX.
I did know that.
Which is very exciting. So I am not legally allowed to make any comments about whether that show is good or bad, but I bet it will be amazing.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I love freeze frame. It is extremely 1987.
Yeah.
But if a contemporary movie decided to do it, I would approve.
I can't even think of the last movie that comes to mind is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Ended
on a freeze frame.
I believe Death Proof ended on a freeze frame where they all did the high five together at the center.
Cool.
This isn't a movie, but one of the last seasons of Girls, remember, ended with Hannah, aka Lena Dunham, doing the freeze frame towards the camera. No one? Anyone?
Can't recall.
I am currently in season 6 of
Jack
Girls right now.
Jack Sanders is repping for Girls season 9.
I'm currently in season 6, which is the final season. So maybe you just potentially spoiled the last shot of it for me, but that's okay. I'm 10 years late.
No, I actually didn't spoil the last shot. The last shot, you and I will have a personal conference about when you get to it.
Okay, great.
Is season 6 for the first time?
Yeah.
How's Girls been for you?
Do
you feel like you understand us better?
I felt like I kind of understood that whole oeuvre of art pretty well at the time, even though I wasn't watching it because there was just so much discourse about it. It was when I was in college, just when it was kind of like wrapping up or like peaking and then wrapping up. So I was just hearing a lot of discourse and reading a lot about it, but not really participating. I was kind of sitting that one out for a while. I had to let myself mature a little bit first.
The series finale, which I believe you talked about on Stick the Landing.
I did.
Of Girls is deeply unfortunate, in my opinion.
Yeah, spoiler alert for that podcast. I did not think that it stuck the landing. But Bobby, maybe you will.
Excellent show.
Honestly, incredible Zag. If you think it's beautiful, I'll re-record a podcast with you and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, great. That sounds like a great
The
opportunity.
third hour right there. Yeah.
I wonder.
It's got the third hour written all over it.
What do you think happens based on what we're talking about? Because in a million years, I don't think you can actually guess what the final shot is.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thanos comes down and kills half of the cast.
That would be sick.
I mean, that would make more sense. But anyway, I'm looking forward to following up with you, Bobby.
Okay, great. We'll dialogue offline. Next question comes from Ryan. I love this question. Curious what everyone's go-to YouTube movie clip is. For example, mine is the ending of Before Sunset or the Defined Dancing clip from WALL-E.
The first thing that came to my mind was the Philip Seymour Hoffman rant from Charlie Wilson's War.
It's a great one.
Which you pointed out to me when we did the Philip Seymour Hoffman Hall of Fame. Like,
it's a big one for me too.
Coincide kind of with the rise of YouTube. So I think that part of the reason that made the Hall of Fame is because we all just watch it on YouTube.
I spent the last 3 years learning Finnish!
And I'm never ever sick at sea.
That's a good one. The one that immediately popped to mind for me was Darlene Ferrin worked at the Vallejo House of Pancakes on the corner of Tennessee and Carroll. Arthur Lee Allen lived in his mother's basement on Fresno Street. Door to door, that is less than 50 yards. Is that true? I've walked it. From Zodiac? That's like hair standing up on my arms when I watch that scene.
Oh,
so just to feel alive, just to feel in the palm of Fincher's hands, Finchman. God bless him.
Beautiful
it's
stuff.
A good one.
I guess there are a lot of Social Network scenes that would also qualify for this. The opening scene.
The whole movie.
Yeah, it'll be because you're an asshole.
Yeah.
But that one kind of stands alone. I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of me.
Yeah.
Which you'll never take away from me.
When I was a kid, it was just rewinding the VHS copy of You Can't Handle the Truth. That was...
Oh, okay.
That was memorizing that and being a dork about that. And then 35 years later, just talking about how cool it is.
Rewinding the VHS of Sound of Music through various musical numbers.
Sounds terrible.
And now you just do that on YouTube. It's a beautiful movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're an imbecile.
Okay.
Few Good Men truly is the dead center of our triple Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Like that is all three of us that have that in our top
So what is yours, Bob?
Mine is the Ryan Gosling pitch to Carell and Jeremy Strong in The Big Short.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he's taking the Jenga blocks and chucking them in the trash can.
That's a good one.
When he brings his quant. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's good stuff.
It's so great. It's so great. Some of Ryan Gosling's best stuff. And what's so beautiful about that is that then I don't need to watch the rest of that movie. I got everything I need right there from that scene.
Are you saying you have a moral opposition to the film The Big Short?
Not a moral opposition. It's just that I feel like I get the whole essence. And that's what going back to YouTube for movie clips to me is you get the whole essence of what the movie is about, but you maybe don't want to fire up this 2-hour movie twice a month.
I still have like a bigger emotional dedication to trailers that I love. I prefer a trailer that speaks to the power of the movie to capture what you're talking about more so than a scene, honestly. Because a scene just makes me want to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
A trailer just gets me, it almost like gratifies my desire to remember how I felt seeing it.
That's beautiful.
Okay, thank you. What's next?
Next question comes from Jason. Does this year's box office mean we are going to get more smaller, leaner films, or will studios double down on massive budgets and IP-driven stories? I feel like we get this question in every single mailbag, and it's just a lot of wishful thinking from me.
I mean, Jason, I don't ever think we're going to get smaller, leaner films.
No.
The
biggest movie of the year is Dune Part 2. What are you talking about, dog? No. I think you're just going to get fewer movies, period.
Yeah.
No. They're trying to find ways to eventize as many movies as possible so that they can make the maximum profit, which is cool. It doesn't mean that small movies are going away. They're not going away. There's just going to be less. Not going to make more. We need more $18 million movies. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
Next question comes.
We say it.
Yeah.
But
I'll say it till I die.
We are not in charge of the money. And I don't even have my wallet. So.
I'm in charge of your money today in the office. Otherwise, yes.
I feel like maybe we should just let this continue rolling. The camera should follow you guys out to the parking garage.
We're making social content on a regular basis here.
Do you have a lunch plan?
I told you I have 5 hours of recording today. It's back to back to back.
No,
I'm literally speaking with Adam Naiman immediately after we're done here.
I know, but okay. Well, how am I going to get out then?
I don't know. We'll have to figure something out.
Okay. God damn.
Am I letting you
I was
borrow
gonna
a credit
say-
card? Would I dare lend you a credit card?
That would be
I
fine.
feel like I'm giving it to my teenage daughter. This feels very dangerous. Okay, honey, be careful in Nordstrom.
It was more just like we can go to the bagel truck together. And you can
want to
get
try
some
have a meal with me?
sustenance.
Well, yeah, as you know, that's not something I'm good
it's
at.
a to-go, but you have so many recordings. You actually do need...
Picture this. We go to Yeasty Boys together.
Yeah.
We get a bagel sandwich together.
We don't have to eat it together.
I eat it here,
Yeah.
and then I have to record for 4 more hours. How do I feel having eaten a bagel sandwich?
I have been thinking about the line from the Fall Guy of like, you need glucose for cognitive function.
Yeah.
Like every day, pretty much in respect
Look
to
at how
you.
well I've been doing, though, with my method.
Okay.
The SF method. It's been working.
Okay.
I'm stronger than ever. I had a physical yesterday. Got the blood work back this morning.
Oh.
We're all green, baby. No reds.
Bro, you just told me you sustained an injury while walking your daughter to work today.
Right.
Yeah, I did.
To school, rather.
I did sustain an injury. Well, I mean, I'm
your spine will never recover from 40X. So it's like, that's fine. But
I'm somehow at my absolute peak and my absolute lowest at the same time.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. The human body and the human mind, they don't agree.
Okay.
Would you describe it as sort of a we're so back, it's so over dynamic for your body?
I think that's fair to say. I think that is fair to say. I wish we were getting more $18 million movies. God damn it. The hell? What's next?
Next question comes from Soundgarden. How do y'all feel about the current trend of studios pushing out way more anniversary re-releases or themed repertory screenings at major chains? Does this help or hurt small rep theaters?
Is it like Jim Soundgarden? What are we? What's this person's name? Allison Soundgarden?
I don't really know.
That's the display. Soundgarden.
Usually, when I put like a display name that's not a real name in there, it's because the @ name is even crazier. And this is just like the simplest version of how I could have read that person's name on the pod.
I'm sure you noticed that over the weekend, I think 2 or 3 of the top 10 movies at the box office were movies that came out 25 or 30 or 50 years ago.
One of them was Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace did quite well in re-release. You went in 40X.
Right.
What'd you think?
Dressed as Darth Maul.
This is he's the guy with the red dots, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is also the one with Jar Jar Binks.
Correct. Well, he's in all 3 of the
Oh, he
prequels.
is?
Yeah.
He doesn't get
He becomes
killed?
a senator in one of the later ones. That's a true story.
Are you? You could honestly be fucking with me, and I have no.
Sean,
I assure you that I will.
So Natalie
you
Portman.
Want to try to explain that Darth Maul is, or that he's the Sith Lord theory, that Jar Jar is the secret Sith Lord theory on Reddit? Are you aware of this?
I am
aware
of
explain
it.
That to Amanda.
Trying to explain it would probably send me and Amanda simultaneously into cardiac arrest, so I'm not going to do that.
Still haven't seen that movie.
Phantom Menace is pretty bad, but it's also pretty good.
Okay.
Kind of a Transformers situation, you know? Just feel like it doesn't work, and yet I would love to watch the final 20 minutes many times.
It's nice that people like it, and it's nice that people like going to the movies, which is sort of my answer to this question. I do think that there is a difference between the type of person who's going to see Phantom Menace in re-release and who's, checking out Scarface on like a Tuesday night at a rep theater or whatever.
I agree.
But encouraging the habit of going to the movies to see something, I think, is a tide that lifts all boats.
I agree. I think it's on people's minds because these films seem to be doing well. But the truth is that studios have been doing this for 100 years. Anniversary screenings of movies have been happening. Re-releases of significant releases have been happening since probably the first 10-year anniversary of a box office hit.
Yeah.
So you'll see movies like The Sound of Music or Gone with the Wind or Star Wars or The Godfather or The Conversation, like just big movies from movie history find their way into movie theaters all the time. Because there are so few new releases this year because of the strikes, I think they have more prominence than they usually do. This is sort of paired with the rep screening question that we have later in the pod, and we can hold that. But that is a little bit different to me, as you said, than what this is. This is almost like studio mandated or like Fathom events or theater chain mandated, as opposed to all of the incredible hundreds or thousands of programmers at small theaters around the country who are just like picking cool old movies to run, which is a little different than what this is. What's next, Bob?
Next question comes from Max. Speaking of repertory theaters, I'd love to hear a ranking or just discussion of your favorite rep theaters, either here in LA or anywhere in the world, and what you guys are looking for in a great theater. Great programming lineup, theater quality, location, etc.
You want me to just do this? Just go through it?
I mean, I have opinions, but I think you have an international list. I certainly don't have that.
Oh, wow. Well, there's the Cinematheque in Mexico City,
Right.
the Cinematheque in Paris. Those are both incredible places to go see movies outside of the country. Beyond that, I mean, obviously, we just did an event at the Prince Charles Cinema last year in London, which was amazing, and that's a really cool theater. Those are the only independent ones I think I could like credibly rep for that I've spent a lot of time in. I mean, the BFI in London is amazing. That's a great, great, great space. As far as LA goes, man, it is high time.
Yeah.
It's an awesome time if you like going to rep screenings. Between the 3 American Cinematheque theaters, you've got the Arrow on the west side, you've got the Egyptian just reopened, and you've got the Los Feliz 3. All the programming there is dynamite.
It's so good.
You've got the 2 Quentin Tarantino screens now. You've got the New Beverly, of course, legendary, like some of the best programming anywhere, some of the most like idiosyncratic, just very cool, creative. I just went to a rep screening of a double. The movies were, oh God, what were the 2 movies that I saw? 2 70s movies I'd never seen before. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. Well, I went to the first half of a double of obscure 70s movies at the New Beverly, one of which was called Drive-In, which was sort of like if American Graffiti took place in Texas in the 70s, which was a really cool, fun movie that I saw with some friends, some Ringer friends. And so New Bev is amazing. The recently reopened The Vista is also amazing. They're showing mostly new movies on 35, but they have a small room where they show 16 millimeter prints. Our beloved Vidiots, which is, over in the Eagle Rock, Mount Washington, Highland Park area, which is only open a year now. We just saw a press screening there.
Which was incredible. Please, if anyone listening is in charge of press screenings of any movie anywhere, put it at Vidiots and I will come see your movie.
Yeah. I mean, there are a ton more repertory theaters in Los Angeles. Those are the ones that I spend the most time at. I mean, Brain Dead on Fairfax Brain Dead Studios is a really good one. Gosh, I'm trying to think of more off the top of my head.
The Academy is doing a lot of them as well.
Amazing programming at the Academy.
Yeah.
There's just so many places to go see good movies. And the thing that is so exciting is just like seeing pretty full houses on Tuesday nights for obscure films is great. LA is just so vibrant when it comes to this stuff.
Did you know they do Cinespia inside the Rose Bowl now?
I haven't been there.
I haven't been either, but I was just like, I saw a poster the other day. Almost Famous over Memorial Day inside the Rose Bowl.
Interesting. Cinespia, when I first moved to Los Angeles, was at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and it was projected outside. It was outdoor screenings Fridays and Saturday nights, and it was like rock concerts. CR and I and our partners saw the film Aliens.
Yeah, I've heard tell of this one.
And let me tell you, Eileen fell asleep in 15 minutes. Not me. Drank 2 bottles of wine and was vibing. I'm just having the time of my life. We love rep screenings. It's a good time. I mean, I can't say New York, similarly, as I understand it, is really, really thriving when it comes to this. Bobby, I know you're at a lot of screenings like this too.
Yes, I'm usually at like a rep screening at least 1 or 2 times a week. Metrograph in the Lower East Side is like a hugely popular scene for people in the movie world, and as well as just like film fans. They have great programming there and excellent popcorn. Best movie theater popcorn out there. It's not suffering from this big chain issue where the popcorn is stale and bad. Yeah. Which I'd like to call out AMC theaters. Not doing well enough.
Their
in the popcorn
isn't
sphere.
good. You're right.
Okay.
Film Forum, which they show a lot of kind of more obscure older films, like a lot of black and white stuff, a lot of international stuff. The Angelica on Houston is an institution. They show old stuff and new stuff. And then Film at Lincoln Center, obviously, which like they put on the New York Film Festival, they should show a ton of stuff that you just really can't see in many places across the world. And I see a lot of movies there as well. So it's a great time to be a fan of repertory screenings. It's really just like, for me, it's just, do I want to see this movie in a theater so much that I will go out of my house and get on the subway for an hour? And frankly, they are curating in a way that is worthwhile to me to not just watch it, at home at Criterion.
I think that's the whole game, is do you want to see this movie projected? For me personally, at this stage of my life, it's mostly things that I haven't seen that I'm curious about doing. But I understand that I think the reason for a lot of the success is either young people going to see older movies they've never seen before, or
that they've never seen projected. Yeah.
Right. Some people who, wanting something that is like a comfort to them and seeing it in a new way.
Well, as I said, when I introduced the talented Mr. Ripley at the Arrow, it was a lot of people who were seeing the movie full stop for the first time, but it was the first time that I had seen it projected, the first time I'd seen it with a crowd. And, that Philip Seymour Hoffman's entrance, just everyone absolutely lost it, and that seeing everyone together collectively crack up was very fun and memorable.
Hopefully you and I can introduce some more movies
Yeah,
this year.
It would be great.
There was a call for a big picture tour. I'm not really going to promise a big picture tour because I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But when we do it, I only want to do it at movie houses. Like what I want to do is go to the Music Box, show a movie, and then talk. That's the most fun version of doing a tour. What do you think about that?
I'm game. I mean, we had a great time in London doing that. I had a great time at the Arrow.
Yeah.
It would be great if there was like a cool bar next door to the movie theater for afterwards, but
we can look into that.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, what's the next question?
You want to let people know that you only intend to just show Skinamarink every time before every live show.
And no talk. We're just showing the film. Like there's no content really. It's just the big picture presents Skinamarink. But
with
CR
Chris's
with
special
ADR.
ADR, exactly. We're all on the same wavelength. Great. Next question comes from Aaron. Comedic actor doing a serious role or a dramatic actor doing a comedic role? Which is more entertaining and which is harder?
What do you think?
I think the answer to both is dramatic actor doing a comedic role.
That's more entertaining and is harder.
Yes.
Oh, because you don't believe acting is real.
No, I do believe that well, that's true. I sort of don't, but I think that comedic acting is very difficult and it's hard, and not everybody has the gift and not everybody has the timing, but also people who are very talented, people who have studied on the stage, like true actors can sometimes really pull out the stops in a comedic role.
Think of Al Pacino doing Dunkachino in Jack and Jill. That's great acting.
On the flip side, the skills aren't transferable both ways. And sometimes there are comedic actors who get cast in dramatic roles. And I'm just not buying it. And maybe that's
a little names.
Like a Kristen Wiig's entire serious drama career. Why is Kristen Wiig in The Martian? What's she doing?
I think that's an energy check. I think she brings a different energy to the movie.
Okay.
That they're attempting to seed, because that's kind of a comedy, that movie.
Sort of.
Donald Glover's in it.
She's not the it's confusing.
I think you have a little bit of wig blindness.
I do have a tiny bit of wig blindness.
I love wig.
I think it's very funny when she shows up with Will Ferrell at any awards show.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. But in the drama roles, I'm a little like, no, you're Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, for a lot of male comedy stars, a rite of passage where they want to do something more serious and be taken more seriously. Like when we were growing up, Jim Carrey went through this with making The Truman Show and The Majestic and Man on the Moon. Will Ferrell has gone through it. I'm trying to think. I mean, Adam Sandler obviously is kind of pinging back and forth.
Yeah, but he's good at it.
He is, but sometimes you get a spaceman, like Spaceman really didn't work. Like it's cool that they try that.
I mean, sometimes with everyone you get something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
Love the Sandman, don't get me wrong.
His Meyerowitz stories, he has Uncut Gems.
Yes. Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, Punch Drunk Love. Yeah. He's a real one.
He is. I think in general, I like seeing someone who we would never expect trying to be funny actually being funny. That's pretty rare though.
I mean, there aren't enough funny people in the world.
Yeah.
There's not enough funny in the world. So anytime anyone can actually do it, I'm thrilled. That's
like you just gave the opening monologue at Comic Relief 1997. There's not enough laughter in the world. There's not enough funny in this world.
There's not. Just things aren't very funny.
Do you think laughter cures pain?
I don't know. Do we have to get theoretical? I'm not interested.
Let's use specific world conflicts as examples. Okay. No, we're not going to do that. Next question.
Okay, the next question comes from Dylan. Given what happened last weekend with the Drake and Kanye beef, what's the best movie beef of all time?
There was no
Diss
Kanye
movies.
Beef. There was Kendrick.
Do we mean
beef.
Kendrick?
Oh yeah, this is a typo. Apologies.
Okay.
What's the best movie beef of all time? Diss movies, cinematic battles of actors or directors versus peers.
So there was a good thread on Twitter about this that I'm just going to steal from Whole Cloth that Will Sloan had going. I don't really think that there are quote unquote like movie beefs where actors are like, fuck you, no, fuck you. Like it doesn't work the same way that hip hop works. But there are a lot of movies that are
where
essentially diss movies. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so he in this thread, he pointed out that like Deconstructing Harry, the Woody Allen movie, is this direct diss at Philip Roth. because Philip Roth was close friends with Mia Farrow right as their relationship was coming apart. And that's obviously that's a tangled web, but that movie is so nasty and so dyspeptic that it's a hell of a diss. There are a lot of examples of this over the years. How did you define this question?
I mean, the difference between like a director, writer making the entire movie about someone versus actors who hate each other and refuse to be in scenes together, and are and that happens more on TV shows. But you can tell when people just don't want to be in the same frame. It's two different things. But in terms of just vicious movies about hating someone, the first thing that came to mind was Irreconcilable Differences, which is sort of like the lost Charles Shire, Nancy Meyers movie, and that bears a striking resemblance to Peter Bogdanovich and Polly Plath's marriage, and then also somehow forecasts certain events that might happen in their own lives.
Yes. Would now probably be looked on as like a self-diss, but in a weird way was actually about real people.
Right.
Harder movie to find, but is really, really good. Also very funny Sharon Stone performance in that movie as a kind of Sybil Shepherd stand-in. Irreconcilable Differences was in this list. One that I thought was really interesting was While We're Young, the Baumbach movie, which is perceived to be kind of a Joe Swanberg diss, who is a former collaborator of Greta Gerwig's.
Okay.
That the Adam Driver character in that movie has some Swanberg energy, which I think, that's not been confirmed. I mean, Heartburn is an interesting example
also
of that.
is on the list.
Kind of a diss movie. It was
yeah,
a diss
but
book.
it's like a diss book about politics, you know? It's not like movie on movie violence.
Do you think Bergman Island is a diss at Olivier Assayas?
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
She takes some shots. Yeah, this is a very fun, Barton Fink is Clifford Odets diss. Like that idea of the diss movie is pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Good question.
In terms of like in the media, there's a handful of stuff too. Like Brian Cox's last 5 years is just one long diss.
I mean, sure.
Of the entire industry.
Fire. The best one of all time is John Carpenter openly dissing Spielberg and Lucas in that video clip where he's just like, "Nah, they're not real. I'm the real one." From like 1982, like at the height of all of their successes. But you never see that anymore. Nobody is ever like, "Yeah, that guy's movie sucks."
Yeah.
When was like the last time that major directors went at each other? It was like PTA, I guess, kind of like in the 90s was kind of throwing some shots out there.
Always been a rumor that PTA and Fincher despise each other. I don't know how true that is. But I believe it's been rumored that the cancer stuff in Fight Club, PTA did not appreciate. Don't know if that's true.
Next question comes from Matt. If you could only watch one actor's filmography for the rest of your life, who would it be? I've been thinking a lot about this and think Matt Damon is an incredible, well-rounded pick given some of the cameos he has in random movies.
Is your favorite Matt Damon performance Interstellar?
It's all the Jay and Silent Bob cameos.
Those are good. Eurotrip? That's a banger.
Yeah. No, my answer for this is Harrison Ford. I feel like that. I mean, which is like in the Matt Damon spirit, I guess, of it's well-rounded. There's a lot. I mean, obviously, multiple franchise movies, because sometimes you got to watch stuff with your kids or, sometimes you want to have fun. But then also Witness and Working Girl, Morning Glory, super underrated rom-com, Presumed Innocent, The Fugitive. Like there's a little bit of everything. Plus it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi.
Sure.
You'll be able to see that for the first time. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
What else?
Of his movies?
Random Hearts.
Yeah, why not? But also, like, Apocalypse Now is also technically on this
true.
list.
That's a good point.
And then also Regarding Henry. So,
A film I like. Thank you to Jeffrey Abrams, the screenwriter.
The Sabrina remake. Clear and Present Danger.
The Sabrina remake? You're not writing for that. Come on.
No, I'm not, but it's like, I don't know, sometimes.
Where are you at on Kinnear these days? Yeah,
where is Kinnear?
He appeared in the series finale of the TV show Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, he did?
As a prosecuting attorney in the city of Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Against Larry David, who is being tried for breaking one of the voting laws where you can't give people a glass of water if they're standing in line to vote. Iconic television show. Truly very special.
That's really, really funny.
Kinnear's okay. I like Julia Ormond from Sabrina.
Okay.
They didn't have to remake
Sabrina.
Sabrina.
They didn't have to remake Sabrina, but it's just like who asked the question? To Matt's point,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot depending on what mood you're in, along with a core like 10 Stone Cold classics.
I'm with you. I think it's a good call.
Thank you.
I went with like a slightly older stripe, and I was trying to decide between like a Jimmy Stewart or a Henry Fonda, because then you just get 60 movies, 30 of which are historically significant.
Yeah.
So you get John Ford movies and Alfred Hitchcock movies and William Wyler movies and Frank Capra movies.
That was smart.
So I think that works. Like the same is true of like Meryl Streep or Katharine Hepburn. Like if you just pick somebody who's been in a lot of good movies, the other way to go is to pick like M. Emmett Walsh, who just passed away, and you just get a character actor who's been in everything. I mean, M. Emmett Walsh is in multiple Coen Brothers movies. He's in Blade Runner. He's in Romeo and Juliet. He's in A Time to Kill. He's in Catch Me If You Can. He's in Fletch. He's in so many movies over there. He's in The Jerk. He's in, Slapshot, like Mikey and Nicky. Like he's just been in
It's a good strategy.
30 movies that you just love, but he's only in it for 3 minutes. But that would be, I think, by the letter of the law, following the questions arc. So you could do that.
Sean always likes to play on a technicality.
I do. That's how I win.
Okay.
What's next?
Next question comes from Drake. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this is not the same Drake that you're thinking
OVO?
of. Probably the most meaningless question, but the people have to know, where does the intro and outro music come from? It's a banger every time.
This is, it's a real song. It's called Orange Shirt. It's by the band Discovery, which was back in the 2000s, kind of an offshoot of Rostam from Vampire Weekend. And they only put out one record. It's an incredible record. And got to know Rostam a little bit, got a little friendly with him, asked him if we could do it. And he said yes.
Thank you, Rostam.
So thank you to Rostam.
Okay, great. Easy answer. Gabby asks, I want to know about the most polarizing movies between you. What's a movie Amanda loves that Sean can't stand, and vice versa?
I know that there are a lot of movies that I like that you're like, fuck this. Are there a lot of movies that you like? Well, The Sound of Music just came up. I don't really like that movie.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of movies that you love that I'm like, no, it is against my soul to agree to this content.
And also, like, to some extent, that's the nature of the podcast, is me just being like, you're a moron. Like, that isn't that good. The ones that to me feel the most polarizing and that's how Sean and I communicate. That's our friendship. The ones that feel the most polarizing are the ones where it's like, I know it really means something to you. And I'm like, yo, that did like not come together. But like, I actually don't want to be a jerk about it. So, but that does happen sometimes where something is like very like emotionally resonant for one of us and the other person is like, I'm gonna be honest, just it wasn't there.
I'm sure people can hear us when we're being gentle and not gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really depends on the quality or importance of the project.
And that's like, I don't want to name those movies either because it's not some sort of, I know I'm an asshole about pretty much everything according to a lot of people, but sometimes I don't have sometimes just like something that clearly was spent a lot of time and effort. It like doesn't really connect for me or doesn't land. And you don't want to like diss that person's effort and art making, but
I think if I've thought about this a lot over the years and really evolved my stance. I think a lot of people, I've gotten face-to-face feedback from people listening to the show who are like, why don't you just absolutely annihilate a movie sometimes? And every once in a while I will do it, but I don't really think it's not something that I like to do. I genuinely am like spending all of my time with all of this stuff and doing this show because I just really, really like movies and want them to be successful. And I don't really have a problem. And when people are like, you're a critic, one of the reasons why I feel like I'm not a critic is because I'm actually just rooting for the success of movies. And it doesn't mean that I can't be critical, and we're certainly critical and try to like better understand intention, execution, when things don't work, saying here's why something doesn't work.
That's fine.
You're very critical.
You can say that. I have high standards.
You have personal standards. You have particular standards.
I do, but I also think I do just generally. I'm like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I agree. Yeah. You are more unsparing for sure. But I don't. It's rare that I hate something. Something needs to be deeply cynical and poorly made for me to hate it. And it happens sometimes. Fast X comes along sometimes where you're just like, I'm being treated like a fucking asshole. and I don't appreciate it, and I don't like that. When Free Guy comes along, that's how I felt. I felt like I was being treated like an asshole. And so I will always stand up for that kind of an experience. Beyond that, like, I'm not the biggest rom-com fan in the world, but like, I have no problem with a B- or C+ rom-com. Like, I'm not gonna be like, God, fuck you, Amanda, what a waste of time. How could you make me talk about this? Like, that's just not interested in that.
Okay. Next question. Homemade Pepsi. What would result in a better movie? One that were written by Amanda according to her tastes and directed by Sean, or one written by Sean to his taste and directed by Amanda? Both films are produced by me and star Chris Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's an inherent conundrum in this question.
Yeah.
Because I think, here's my gut reaction.
Yeah.
I think that I would do a better job of directing a film that you've written than you would of directing a film that I've written. However, I can write for Chris Ryan. I know in my soul that I can write something that will tap into his inner power.
I also was just going to say, like, you actually could not direct anything that I wrote to my standards. Like, I know you think you could, and like every decision I just like, that's absolutely wrong. Like, no, you didn't get it at all. No, it's not this. Like, it's not that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I do think that I could direct what you've written. I think, and especially, again, CR is what's bringing us together.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like if CR is your muse, he can also be my muse.
Okay.
And I can like get on the level, you know, in some ways it's what I'm doing every day.
But what if I just wrote Avengers: Endgame 2? You think you could execute on that?
Endgame 2. So it's tell me what happens. Ender Game. Go on. Keep telling me what happens.
Thanos comes back to life.
Okay, and is Chris Thanos?
Chris is Thanos, and it's actually told through Thanos' perspective.
Okay.
It's actually
so
Avengers:
you're probably wondering how I got here. I'm Thanos. Great. See? Listen, we're already creating. It's beautiful.
And just imagine Chris getting to continue on the legacy of one of his beloved actors, Josh Brolin.
Once Chris is in it,
mm-hmm.
I think it's very positive, and we can meet on the like.
It's
the middle
Thanos
ground,
and
it's
Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're best friends, and you're the director.
Right. I also don't know. I love Chris so much, and I truly, there's no one who I'd rather see starring in a movie, a reality show,
mm-hmm.
a video series, whatever. No one entertains me more than Chris. But I don't know if he could really interpret my vision of the world. As
a performer.
Yeah.
See. Okay.
I mean, at least like one scene, someone's gonna have to cook, and then you've got wet chicken everywhere.
Make food.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck.
It's a good point. Okay, let's rethink this whole endeavor.
Chris trying to stretch, and I was like, no. Here's how, because he's like starting his own version of Pilates, but it's we're not there yet. We're getting there. It's good that they're trying.
Are you implying that Chris is trying to start like a competitor exercise to Pilates right now?
No, not at all. I think it's great. And my husband is as well. But like a really interesting thing, we were talking about this last night, is like, part of whatever form of exercise you do in your late 30s and 40s to save your ailing body is just like learning how better to use your muscles, or use muscles that you never learned your entire life. And, I don't want to gender essentialize, but like most women go to an exercise class or two before the age of 40 and are like taught at some point, and then all the boys just like roll up to 40 and they're like, oh, so that's what my core is. So it's like a very fascinating time to be a middle-aged man learning about your core, is what I'm saying.
I just want to say, over on Macro Boys, which is the new official title of the bulking pod that Craig and I came up with today, we are talking about engaging your core and your posterior chain. We're talking about all that stuff, all the good stuff.
You know what? And that's why the children are the future, because your generation is starting young, and you're going to be okay. And, old man River over here doesn't know where his core is.
But my mind is so strong. Right now, sharp. I have engaged this core, the brain stem, and the power is just radiating out of it. I feel so powerful. Next question.
Next question comes from Saul. Has there been a movie so far this year that maybe wasn't totally on your radar that was a pleasant surprise in theaters, on streaming, or on VOD? Just something that made you feel good or excited as you watched it.
Good question that I forgot to prepare for. There is one that's at the tip of my tongue that is coming out today. I think is on VOD today. It's called Last Stop in Yuma County, which is starring my friend Jim Cummings and is a really nifty movie. I think Francesco Galuppi is the filmmaker's name. He was also just hired to make an Evil Dead movie. It's basically just like a modernized Western that takes place in a diner. Everybody finds themselves all stuck in a diner together for an hour and a half. That was pretty nifty.
Imagine if you and I ever got to be stuck in a diner for an hour and a half and you would actually eat something and also buy me lunch.
You've been in diners with me
no, that's true.
for hours at a time. Are you up on Hundreds of Beavers? Are you up on it? Do you know what that is? This is what I bring to the show.
Okay. I have heard tell, but as soon as you said that, number one, that was funny delivery. That made me laugh. Good job. But then also, I just started thinking about the feral hogs. Do you remember the 30 to 40 feral hogs? And what will you do? Sorry.
That was peak COVID content.
But then we tried to go on vacation, remember? And
they'd eaten up the ground.
The feral hogs had come.
That is something that happened. This is incoherent to anyone at home that is trying to consume this show.
Tell me what.
Hundreds of beavers.
What do the beavers get up to?
They are terrorizing this fellow.
So it is like the feral hogs.
It is kind of like that. Here's how it's described. A drunken Applejack salesman must go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper by defeating hundreds of beavers. It's a silent movie that is like one part Buster Keaton, one part Duck Hunt the video game, where it's literally just a dude for an hour and 40 minutes
just fighting
battling beavers. And it's grown men in beaver costumes. It's ridiculous, absurd, and a lot of fun. Okay. It's very, very funny. I highly recommend people check it out. It's better in a movie theater than it would be at home, but I think people would really enjoy that too, as far as recommendation. There's a shitload more. Like, we didn't even mention Hamaguchi's Evil Does Not Exist is out now.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's because, I saw it last year. That's an incredible movie.
Amazing
people should
movie.
see that movie. And also enough people should see about it because I would like to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
I should revisit it.
We probably need to give it like a month or so to talk about it, but fascinating. You said actually, when you saw it, you were like, I'm not sure I totally understand it. I feel similarly. Like, I'd like to kind of watch it again.
But also one of the best scores of like the last.
Beautiful, fascinating movie. This is the director of Drive My Car's follow-up to that film. But that's a really, really good movie that's out right now if you have access to it.
Did they ever make the Feral Hogs movie? 30 to 40 Feral Hogs?
I think Wild Hogs was the prequel, the motorcycle movie with Tim Allen. So we're still waiting on the follow-up to that.
Wild Hogs rewatchables when, bro?
Yeah, definitely soon.
Let it rip.
Is the Feral Hogs moment not like a thing for you guys the way it was for me?
No, it's a huge thing for me, though. I love the Feral Hogs is so funny.
You're right that it was like de-pandemic, but I have not laughed that hard before or since that. We needed it, you know? Anyway, congratulations to Hundreds of Beavers. That sounds funny.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, recommend it. I wish I had more to rip off, but I don't. Okay, what's the last one?
Final question comes from A. Often my enjoyment of a movie depends on my mood when I'm walking into the theater. Is there something that you do to neutralize your mood before a screening to try and have an objective opinion on the film?
This is a very thoughtful question.
It is.
So I would say you swing a little higher and lower than I do. What do you think?
I agree with this. Is that certainly context has a role to play. I try to do two things. Number one, can't go in hungry. That's really tough. So I try to eat beforehand. If there's a cheesecake factory nearby, great. But I try to know as little as possible, honestly, about anything before, especially if I'm like early enough in the cycle where it's a screening, or it's a new movie, because I find that, you know, putting aside all like environmental factors, the way I feel about a movie is so much a response to my expectation and what people have told me.
Me too.
And so
there's no getting around that.
Yeah, but I think you can sometimes know less. I mean, that's like every single marketer who's listening to this is like dying inside, because I know that's not how you get people to the theater. But I don't watch every single trailer 50 times. I don't look at all of the posters.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and I always will, I think, because I am as much fascinated by movie marketing as I am about movies when it comes to Hollywood movies. I think that the relationship between those two things are inextricable to my experience of movies, and so I can't really get around it. And it also helps make the show.
It's also like, there's a difference between knowing a lot about like the Fall Guy before you go in and knowing not about like evil does not exist.
Totally. And
so
in those environments, I will try to not learn very much about what a movie like that is about. It's one of the reasons why the festival screening experience for those that can do it is a gift and a curse. Because on the one hand, you're often going in pretty blind into things that you're seeing, and you're taking a lot of chances on things you wouldn't expect that you would like or would be excited about or that you'd be planning to talk about on the show, for example, for us. On the other hand, there's so much groupthink that comes out of festival screenings where people come out and they all start sharing their opinion and everybody's opinion gets formed by those reactions. So it's tricky, but that I find is the best way to do it because there is no marketing material to look at when you're seeing a movie in that way. For us, I don't know, I'm trying to plan the show like 3, 4, 5 months in advance. Kind of need to know what something's looking like, what people are saying about it.
I mean, it's like we're not, another way to answer this question would be like, well, I try not to sit in traffic for an hour and a half before I go to the movies, but that's like specific to us. I think for people who are interested in movies, who are seeing a lot of movies, if you find like the art house or the local theater with a broader range of programming and just try not to Google too much, just like see what they're showing this weekend. And get in the mix for something that you maybe haven't heard as much about or, I think that is probably the best way for a discovery, which is like the really fun part of this, right? When you go in not expecting much or not knowing anything and you're just like, wow, I had a great time.
That is the best feeling. I think I personally don't, if I'm in a bad mood, a movie can take me out of it. If I'm in a good mood, a movie will keep me in it. It's what I want to be doing with my free time. So I don't struggle as much with, I've had a bad day and now I have to sit and watch this movie. Unless the movie is Fast X. Then I'll be like, yo, my daughter kicked me in the teeth this morning and I got into a car accident and then I sat down and had to watch Vin Diesel. Then I will be upset. But that doesn't happen very often, if I'm being totally honest. It's very rare that I get pissed off by something. But it is something for us to consider because we see so many goddamn movies. These are great questions. Thank you very, very much. Thanks, Bob, for picking out these good ones. Any closing thoughts?
Should I see Hundreds of Beavers? But you kind of like spoiled it now. It's sort of.
I think I did not. You should try to recreate it. Hundreds of Beavers situation. You get the dam. See what goes on.
I mean, it's so funny.
What if
but
you rewrite it for Chris and then I direct it?
He could do it.
Then Bobby and everyone in the booth are the Beavers.
I could never come up with
plus
the gags.
Our children.
Well, I was going to say, I think Knox would probably like it more than you would. It is an inherently slapsticky movie.
If I dress up as the beaver, am I a member of SAG? Is this like, give me a card?
Yeah, there you go.
You're in the union officially. But you got to pay dues. You got to pay beaver dues.
Yeah.
You got all those
That's
beaver
fine.
dollars.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay. Thanks to Bobby Wagner. Thanks to Jack Sanders. Thanks to Alea. Thanks to the video team here at the Big Picture later this week. No, next week. What are we doing?
Next week. Oh, all the Apes movies.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is coming to movie theaters. I think Van Lathan is joining us.
He said he was.
You're going to have to listen to us soliloquize about the power of this franchise. This is the 10th Apes movie.
And you don't think that I am rewatching all of them?
I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Okay, I do the work.
Some of them are excellent. Some of them are not.
Yeah.
Some of them are not. Maybe can we rank all 10?
That's what's in the spreadsheet. Okay. So I'm preparing for that.
I'm just trying to create a little theater here.
Guys, on the spreadsheet next week, ranking all the Apes movies with Van Lathan.
Before we wrap up, a couple of quick programming notes. One, of course, subscribe to youtube.com/
Ringer Movies.
Can
you guys animate it so it says @Ringer Movies?
No, they can't do that. No? They are way too busy
right now.
Okay,
they're just like gesturing. They're like, we have actual jobs and lives.
Yeah. Please subscribe. We're posting episodes here.
Like sparkles?
Breakouts. We're also on that channel on Monday, May 13th, going live at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, a live episode of The Rewatchables. The film is Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Cameron Crowe, Tom Cruise, Renee Zellweger, Regina King, Cuba Gooding Jr. What was the kid's name? Jonathan Lipnicki. God, still got it.
Oh, yeah.
Me.
Did you know that the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Yes. Yeah. Did you know that bees and dogs can smell fear? Me, Bill Simmons, Chris Ryan, Van Lathan.
Me with a boombox just playing the radio edit of Bruce Springsteen's Garden of Something.
You be located at the bagel truck? What will you be? Anyway, please tune in for that. And thanks for watching and listening to The Big Picture.